Hi everybody, my name is Hannah Huckabee and I'm the admissions counselor at Murray State for Western Kentucky. And we are here today to just kind of basically do a presentation as if you were on campus with us. So first we want to start out with just a brief introduction of who we are, so we are not strangers on your computer screen, phone screen, whatever it is that you're using to watch us today. So like I said, my name is Hannah and I work primarily with students from Western Kentucky. That's who I travel out to see. I am originally from Louisville, Kentucky, but I have lived in Murray for about 5 years now. I graduated in May of 2019 with my bachelor's degree in economics and then started my MBA here in the spring of 2020. So I just loved Murray and the community so much that I wasn't ready to leave just yet and decided to take some time to give back to the university that did so much for me.
And hey everybody, my name is Ivy Anderson. I am the admissions counselor primarily for the state of Tennessee. So hello to everyone from Tennessee. I am originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I got here in the fall of 2012. Graduated in 2016 with my bachelor's of science in nursing. I actually practiced as a pediatric nurse for about a year and a half before I came back to Murray State to pursue my master's in human development and leadership. And now I'm in this role. I have loved it. I love talking with students about my alma mater, and like Hannah said, we just loved it so much that we decided to come back. So here we are. We're really excited to be talking with you today as if you were here with us. So this is basically what we're going to cover today. So in our presentation, we'll go over admission requirements, what the city of Murray is about, what Murray State, about the size and things like that. And then we'll talk about scholarships, we'll talk about housing, dining, and all of that. There are a couple of sheets that I want to bring your attention to that we are going to be referencing throughout this presentation. So the first one is our academic program sheet, which you can find on our website. So if you wanted to pull up another browser while we're talking to you, then this may be a good resource for you. So this first one, academic program sheet, has our full list of majors, minors, and certificate programs. So that's for you there. And then we've got our cost sheet. So this is typically the template that we use when we're giving our presentation. So you can kind of follow along on this sheet and keep up with us. You'll be able to see pricing of all these things, and it'll help you as a template for us.
Yeah, awesome. So definitely reference those PDFs. But before we dive into those, I just kind of want to give you all a little bit of some background information about the university and then also the city as well. Because I know when I was a senior in high school going through my college search, I didn't know much about the area that Murray was in or even Murray State in general. So we want to kind of start out there. So for my friends that have never been in this area before, Murray State University is located in the city of Murray in Western Kentucky, and it is located in Callaway County. So the size of Murray and Callaway County is about 19,000. And one of the things that you'll hear from a lot of people is how friendly our community is. And I know that that is definitely true. If you scroll through some other videos, you'll probably hear that time and time again. One of my favorite things was that even before I was a student here, whenever I was out in the community, I obviously kind of looked college age and looked like a student, so people would stop me and ask me, how I liked Murray and how I liked the university and things like that. You can also pretty much get a student discount just about anywhere, so definitely keep your ID with you. But then a little bit about the university and our size in that sense. We are a mid-sized institution. So we have about 8,500 students in our undergraduate population. Then if you add in our grad school and our doctorate programs, we're sitting between 9,500 and 10,000. So I tell my students when I'm on the road that mid-size to me means that you get the best of both worlds. So you get some of those aspects that students look for in a smaller school, but you also get some of the aspects that you might look for in a larger school. So what I mean by that is our size allows us to have smaller classes. So our average class size is about 15 to 20 students, which might be what you're used to in high school, might actually be a little bit smaller. And that allows you to really kind of dive into your classes and get to know the people that you're with. Then on top of that, our student to faculty ratio is 15:1, which means that we don't have an overwhelming amount of students for the faculty that we employ, which again allows you to make those connections and kind of form some relationships with the faculty that you'll be learning from. So those are just a few of the things that we kind of see at Murray State that you might also see at a smaller institution. Then on top of that, we are an NCAA Division I athletic program. So you get into all of our athletic events completely free. You just need your student ID, so definitely take advantage of that. And then we also have over 170 student organizations that students can get involved in. And that is something that I am very passionate about, is student involvement. So we try to make that as easy as we can for our students. So you can see some of those things from a small school and a large school we have here at Murray wrapped into one nice shiny little package for you guys.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. How can you get admitted into Murray State? So first things first, where's the application? So go to murraystate.edu. On that front webpage, there's a bright blue Apply Today button. You'll click on that and you can get that process started there. In order to complete the application, one, make sure you fill everything out that's there. We also have a $40 application fee, so make sure you get that in. Once all of that is submitted, then we can start the processing. We typically take about 1 to 2 weeks to get that decision out to you. We'll send something by snail mail, but we'll also send something by email, so make sure you have a good email in our system where we can reach you. I typically tell students, if you are submitting an application between like mid-August, even until the first week of December, so really the fall semester, then it's gonna take us a little bit longer to get that decision out to you, because that's when we get the majority of our applications. So make sure that you stay aware of that. Usually about 3 to 4 weeks is the turnover time. If you haven't heard from us though, in that time period, let us know, give us a call, and we'll just make sure that everything is good on your end, that we have all the documentation, and we can get that sent out to you. So one thing on our application that has changed a little bit as far as requirements. So we need you to have a 3.0 GPA. From there, we have become test optional. So if you've got that 3.0, you do not have to submit an ACT or an SAT test score. There are a couple reasons why you would want to do that, which we'll get into a little bit later, but it's not required at that point. If you drop below a 3.0, then we will require test scores to be sent in. But if you got a 3.0, you are good to go. So after you receive your admissions decision, you're gonna get the steps to set up your MyGate account. MyGate is your key to the world here. It's like our university portal. So there's a ton of stuff on there. Your scholarship application is on there. Your housing application. You can see your dining plan in there. You'll register for classes. You'll be able to see who your advisor is. You'll see that bill in there, and you'll be able to pay for books and things like that in there. So really, really important that you go ahead and get that set up ASAP once you get those credentials from us.
Yes, yes, yes. Please set up that MyGate account. I always tell my students it's a one-stop shop to Murray State, so we don't want to wait around too long for that. So now we are going to take the time to dive into that cost sheet that we talked about earlier. So if you're following along, we are going to look at the two little colorful grids on this side of the PDF. So those right there go over the academic achievement scholarship that we offer here at Murray State. This academic achievement scholarship is an automatic scholarship. So if you're looking at that, you'll see that we are looking at ACT or SAT and GPA. So while we are test optional for admissions, if you want to be considered for this scholarship, you will need to provide us with those test scores. So I encourage all of my students, if you have a test score, go ahead and put it on your application. So that way, if you qualify, we'll have it taken care of. You can see that this is starting at a 21 on the ACT or a 1060 on the SAT. It's also going to have to be accompanied by at least a 3.0 GPA. So we're just going to look at wherever your test score and your GPA meet up on that grid. A few things about this scholarship, it is renewable. So if you keep a 3.0 during your time here at Murray State, you could have this scholarship for all 4 years while you're a student here. Now, a few things to just kind of know about that test score and that GPA. One thing I always tell my students, we will accept ACT and SAT scores throughout the entirety of your senior year up until that first week in August. So I know that it is no one's favorite thing to pay $50 to take a test and then spend 4 hours on a Saturday taking it. But speaking from experience, it was not that long ago I was in your shoes having to decide whether or not it was worth it. And if you look at this grid right here, you could see that spending that $50 and taking those 4 hours to take the test could potentially save you thousands of dollars throughout your 4 years here. So I encourage my students to just at least try and take it one more time. We will not penalize you if your score goes down. So we are going to take that highest composite score that you have. On top of that, I also know that senioritis is definitely real. So if you are one of those students that is struggling to hold on and keep that GPA where it's at, maybe I can give you a little incentive. We are going to base this off of your final high school GPA. So my piece of advice to you, maybe it's a struggle right now. I get it. I was in your shoes at one point in time, but we want to keep that GPA at least where it was at whenever you filled out your admissions application. Because if that GPA falls and maybe knocks you down a scholarship, they will make that adjustment. So just try and stay where you're at, maybe even increase it a little bit if you're one of those folks. But that is kind of the gist of that academic achievement scholarship.
So on top of that, then we've got our competitive scholarships. They're called competitive because you do have to apply for them. So we do have one scholarship application. It applies to you for every scholarship that's in our scholarship catalog. So gone are the days where you have to scroll through, read the description, see if you are eligible, and then apply for it. This one-stop application kind of takes care of the hard work for you in that way. Because of that, it is a little bit longer. So make sure that you take your time to fill it out. That's not just for Murray State, that's for any school that you're applying to. So be aware of that. Take your time, sit down, really fill that out. Brag on yourself. This is not a time to be humble. Really brag on yourself, let us know all about you. So on our scholarship application in particular, it opens up September 1st of the senior year, and the deadline is February 1st of your senior year. So we give you a ton of time to get that done. As you're filling out scholarship applications for other schools, be aware that most schools' deadlines are going to be before ours. We are one of the latest ones that I'm aware of. So make sure you're keeping an eye out. Maybe there's a November or a December, January. Those are really popular dates. So be aware of that. On our application itself, we do ask about the rigor of your schedule. So if you took honors classes, AP, dual credit, we actually ask about all three of those specifically. We ask how many you took and how many your school offered. Most students are not gonna know how many your high school offers. So ask your guidance counselor, ask a teacher. They'll be able to get that information for you, and then you'll fill that out on the scholarship application. So for example, say I took 6 honors classes in high school and my school offered 12. So in that section, I'm actually gonna put 6 out of 12 for the honors classes that I took in school. Same for AP, same for dual credit. Then we're gonna ask about what you've been involved in. So this is typically what you're gonna spend the most time on because lots of students are involved in lots of things. So we're gonna do like top 5 to top 10 extracurricular activities that you've been involved in. We ask about your awards and achievements. If you've been awarded any of those, make sure you list those out. We ask if you've held a job outside of school. We definitely want to hear about that, as well as community service. Pro tip, if that is not on your resume currently, get some community service before you graduate high school. Looks really good on scholarship applications. So you fill all that out. Make sure you use the description boxes that are there. Fill those out to completion. It helps the people that are actually reading it. We know because we've done it. When you fill out those description boxes, it really gives us a good idea of what exactly you were required to do. And then sometimes that gives you a couple extra brownie points. So take the time to fill that out. So then we also do our recommendations through that portal as well. So you can get up to 3 on your file. You will send them an email. So you need that person's email. They'll get a link. They're answering questions about you like, hey, how do you know this student? What's their work ethic like? Would you even recommend them for a Murray State scholarship? So make sure you ask somebody who will actually give you a good recommendation. They'll fill all that out, submit it, and that will get added to your application. Like I said, that deadline is February 1st. So once you've completed all of that, you're satisfied with what you've got on there, hit submit. March 15th is when we let you know what you've been awarded. So we'll send something by snail mail, again, like we did with your admissions decision, but we will also update MyGate that day. That's the first thing that we update before we send it out to you. So you'll go to your MyGate account. Under that academics tab, there is a hyperlink that says My Awards and Scholarships. Click on that and you'll be able to see everything that we've awarded you. If you filled out FAFSA, really important that you do that for any school that you apply to. You will be able to see everything that you've been awarded from the federal government. So any grants, any loans, any federal work study that you might be eligible for, all of that will be listed there. And then if you've applied for any external scholarships, which means it's a scholarship that we did not award or the federal government did not award. And as long as our financial aid office knows about it, they will also list that there. So it's really a one-stop shop there in MyGate.
Yes, so last thing about scholarships, I know we've spent quite a bit of time talking about it, but it's one thing I feel really important, and I really like to stress it to my students because we know that college is expensive. We are no strangers to that. We both graduated from here, so we want to try and do our best to get you a good foundation with those scholarships. So she mentioned external scholarships. Those are a really good way for you to try and just get a little bit of a cushion or maybe even get that foundation started. External scholarships can be found at local businesses, local organizations, maybe even your high school. Also, there's national external scholarships. So if you're familiar with Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Lowe's, places like that offer scholarships for students. So definitely throughout your senior year, take some time to fill out applications for scholarships that aren't even through a university, because no amount of scholarship money is too small. And that is the stone cold truth. Please apply for some external scholarships. One website that I used when I was a high school student was called fastwebs.com. And so that's a place that you can go that has lists and lists and lists. So just take some time because you never know what you could get.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that was some of the heavier stuff. Now we're getting into some of the more fun stuff to talk about. So let's talk about housing. Housing here at Murray State is really fun. It's actually one of the things that drew me to Murray State initially when I was looking. I came for my campus visit. If you guys are familiar with Harry Potter at all, some people are, some people aren't. I am a huge fan of Harry Potter. It's the best way that I can explain our housing system. So we call it our residential college system. We were the first school in the state of Kentucky to actually have it. Very similar to the residential college systems at Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth. So that's really cool to be able to say. Harry and his friends, if you don't know the story, they get sorted into houses. Here we would call them residential colleges, and they compete against each other in sports and academics, even behavior at some points. And at the end of the year, they tally up all the points, they win a house cup, gets really competitive, all of that. So we do the same thing here. You will get sorted into your residential college. Each building or your residential college has its own crest. We have our own mascot. So the day that I moved into Hester College, my freshman year, I got a t-shirt with a crest on it and it had Sonic the Hedgehog on the back because that's our mascot. So that's really fun. Own intramural sports teams, each building. We have our own speech and debate teams. We compete against each other in homecoming. We make our own floats. And then we have our own student government associations as well. So it's a really easy and quick way to get involved with the people that live in your building with you. I will tell you, to this day, I'm still best friends with the girls that I met on my floor my freshman year. We still have a group message. We will be in each other's weddings. So it's really cool to see how that plays out, and it's really a system that really works.
Yes, the residential college system is awesome. I always tell my students we do not say the word dorm on our campus. That is the D word here at Murray State. We only call them residential colleges. So now we're going to look at that PDF at the chart that goes over residential colleges. So you'll see right there, there's 9 different buildings that we have, and I'm going to try and explain the different layouts that are offered in those buildings. I do always acknowledge that some of us are a bit more visual than others. If that's you, you can see visual layouts on murraystate.edu/housing. So if you want to pull that up and follow along, you can do that. So I'm going to first start with Clark, Richmond, and Franklin. So those are our 3 newest residential colleges, and they are set up very similar on the inside. Their rooms are almost identical. They have 2 different layouts that you can choose from. The first is hotel style. So hotel style is where it's you and your roommate in your room, and then you share the bathroom just with each other. Then we have the apartment style, which is where it's you and 3 roommates, but you each have your own room, and then you just share a bathroom and a living space with each other. So Clark, Richmond, and Franklin all set up that way. Then if we look right above that, we'll see Elizabeth and Hester. Those 2 are listed together because they are also set up very similar on the inside. They are our 2 community style residential colleges. So community style is where it's you and your roommate in your room, and then you share a bathroom with the people on your floor. So before you get any ideas, I am going to take a little bit of extra time to talk about these 2 buildings because I know I was very much so guilty of this when I was in high school. I heard community style. I had done it during a summer program, and I was like, Hannah, you can't do it again. Well, there's a few things that you should keep in mind. First, there's a bathroom on each end. So there's 3 toilet stalls and 3 shower stalls, so 6 total. Then the thing I think is most important to think about is the fact that it is now your job to clean your bathroom when you're in college. Maybe you already do that, that's great for you. I know a lot of us didn't. And so in Elizabeth and Hester, your bathroom is cleaned for you throughout the week, morning and night. In any of those other 7 buildings, that is your responsibility. So that's one thing to think about. Then in all of our buildings, including Elizabeth and Hester, there is a sink and mirror in your room. So you don't have to go down the hall when it comes to any morning or nightly routine that you might have. And then lastly, and I just think it's the neatest about these buildings, is that they actually have the largest closets on campus because they don't have a door for a bathroom. And I always joke, but it's so true. I did not think I had a lot of clothes until I started packing up to go to college. And then once I got here, I got free t-shirt after free t-shirt, and it started to collect. So maybe having a little bit of extra college space, my closet space, might be something you're interested in. So the last 4 buildings that we have, you'll see Regents and White are listed together. Regents and White are the 2 buildings that are going to be located not on the residential side of campus. These 2 are almost identical as well on the inside. Then we have Hart and Springer 2. Hart is centrally located on the residential side of campus, and then Springer 2 is our all-female residential college. These are set up suite style. So that is where it's you and your roommate in your room. Then you have 2 suite mates in a separate room, but those 2 rooms are joined by a bathroom. So you share the bathroom among the 4 of you. A few things about this setup: there is a lock, so your suite mates don't have unlimited access to your room. And then you will also do roommate contracts and suite mate contracts, so you guys can kind of set up some rules and regulations that will work best for your room. So that is a summary. I know it was a lot, so definitely check out those layouts on the website.
Okay, so really quick, housing application. So you are gonna have to apply to get into these buildings. We have 9 to choose from, so you have lots and lots of options for you. On the housing application itself, you can list up to 6, like your 6 top choices. So that means you're gonna leave 3 buildings off, so make sure those are the ones that you actually wanna live in. First one that you list needs to be the one that you want to be in the most. Then move on to your second choice, your third, and so on and so forth. We are gonna have a section in there where if you have a roommate in mind, you've already talked to this person and they've agreed that they wanna be your roommate, then in that section, you're gonna put their name, and then they need to make sure when they fill their housing application out, they put your name, as long as the names match, spelling is accurate, all that good stuff, then that person becomes your roommate in there. One cool thing that we have added to the housing application is that, like Hannah was talking about earlier, if you're a visual person, the layouts are actually going to be on the housing application. So if you need a refresher, you don't necessarily want to open up another browser, that will be in there for you. So you'll list all of those. If you do not have a roommate in mind, we have a separate roommate application. So once you're done with the housing part, it will take you automatically over there if you didn't fill out the roommate section. Our office jokes and calls it Murray State eHarmony because it looks a lot like a dating site application. So you're gonna make a bio about yourself. Are you an early bird? Are you a night owl? Are you somebody who's gonna be super involved, so you're not gonna be in the room very much? Or are you gonna be somebody who's primarily going to be in the room a lot. You like to study in your room. That's something that your roommates should know. We also ask if you don't mind living with an upperclassman, because we do have quite a few upperclassmen that still live on campus. We also ask if you would like to room with an international student as well. So those are a couple things that you can indicate on there. So once you submit that, you will automatically get populated with a list of people that could potentially be your roommate. They're matches, like Match.com. So maybe you match with somebody like 98% awesome. You can click on their profile, you can read through it. If that's somebody you want to potentially get to know, there is a chat function in there, so you can start talking with them. You can exchange information, things like that. Once you decide on a person to become your roommate, you'll click accept on their profile, then that person becomes your roommate. If you decide, maybe you have decided on somebody, but you meet somebody at Summer O, or maybe at one of our summer programs like Abroad 101 or Racer 101, then you can always go back in and change that, and that doesn't change the status of your application. Speaking of that, housing is our only first come, first serve application. Opens up October 1st of that senior year, the same day as FAFSA actually. So if you really want to be in a particular building, then you need to get that in sooner rather than later, because those do fill up really quickly. In years past, the first 3 days, some of our buildings have filled up that quickly. So be aware of that. There is a $150 security deposit that you do need to submit with your housing application. It is a deposit, so that means you will get it back at some point, as long as you're not like burning stuff in your room or punching holes in the walls or not following rules. You will get that full amount back either when you move off of campus or when you graduate, if you're like me and you decided to live on campus all 4 years. So that's kind of the housing application in a nutshell.
Yes, and that $150 is a nice surprise if you forget about it, like myself. I remember when I moved off campus, I was like, oh mom, what's this money from? And then we realized when I graduated what it was. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is dining. And I love talking about dining now because in 2019, we had a few changes come to campus. So it's really exciting to kind of talk about with future students. So again, if you're following along on the PDF, you'll see that little table right below the residential college one. So you'll see that there's two different options. These are the two options that we offer our first-time freshmen, and you just have to choose whichever one you prefer. Now, you'll see on there that they look almost identical, but there is a difference in cost. So I'm gonna try and explain that to you a little bit. With both of these meal plans, you have unlimited access into Winslow. Winslow is the dining hall that's on the residential side of campus, and when we say unlimited, we truly mean unlimited. So if you're that person that only goes in once a day, that's fine. You're not gonna get your money's worth, but if that's what you wanna do, that's what you wanna do. If you're that person that wants to go in like 4 or 5 times a day, you can do that and you're probably gonna get your money's worth. Then when you go in there, it's also unlimited. So I know a lot of the times when people are on campus, they ask that question, Hannah, how's the food at Winslow? Well, I will let you know, I enjoyed it my whole freshman year when I was there. But then I also say, sometimes even when mom cooks, sorry mom, it might not be my favorite food. But at Winslow, if I get a meal and maybe it's not exactly what I wanted, what I had in mind, guess what? You can go back and you can get something else and make sure you leave there satisfied. Now, next to that, you'll see Flex. So Flex is what I like to call Murray State currency. It gets loaded on your student ID, and then your ID works just like a debit card would. So you swipe it and the money comes off. You'll see you have 150 of that per year. So we have 75 in the fall and 75 in the spring. That Flex can be spent at a lot of our new locations. So in September of 2019, Chick-fil-A came to campus, which might not be a big deal to you, but it was a big deal to us because the closest one was in Paducah, which is like an hour away. So we were all very excited about that. In August of 2019, we had Einstein's Bagels come to our library. We also now have a full service Starbucks, and we're gonna have a Steak and Shake. So those 4 places are all new to us and places you can use your Flex. On top of those, you also have a food truck that goes around campus. We have the Thoroughbred room that is in the Curra Center, which is kind of just like a food court. Then we also have the Business Express in our business building. So our business building is one of our further buildings. And so those students, maybe they have back-to-back classes and don't want to walk over to the Curra Center, they can go up there. It's like a little convenience store and grab a bite to eat. Now, last but not least is my favorite place to use Flex when I was a student, and that's Fast Track. So Fast Track is basically a gas station without gas. And it is somewhere that you can go in and you can grab toilet paper, laundry detergent, medicine, snacks of course, and you can use your flex there. So a lot of the times people ask, okay, what happens if I don't use all my flex? That will roll over from fall to spring, but not spring to fall. So if at the end of your spring semester you still have some flex, make sure you're spending that at some of those locations. You'll see people at Fast Track just going in and buying carts of stuff, buying their friends food, their friends coffee. Maybe we can be your friends, you can buy us some coffee, but that's a good way to make sure you're using that money. Now, the difference between these two. With all of our new locations, we have added meal exchanges, which basically means a meal that you would eat at Winslow, you now go somewhere else and get that meal. So with both of our meal plans, you get 5 of those per week. With the all access, you can use them from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. at our burrito bar that opens on the 2nd floor. With the all access premium plan, you still get 5, but you can use them from 1 p.m. until 8 p.m. And then on top of Chick-fil-A and the burrito bar, you can also go to the Thoroughbred Room, Einstein's Bagels, and then also Steak and Shake once it gets here. So that premium gives you 2 extra hours and a few more locations. I just tell my students, just think about where you're gonna wanna use your meal exchanges the most. If you don't like Steak and Shake or Einstein's Bagels, maybe go with the all access. If you love Steak and Shake and you're gonna want it every day, then you're probably gonna wanna go with that premium plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Dining is definitely one of my favorite things to talk about because I love to eat. So there's lots of good places for you to choose from and lots of options for you. So the last thing we want to talk about today is parking. We get lots of questions about this when we have students on campus, so we wanted to make sure that we addressed it today. So we've got 2 options for parking on our campus for our students. The first option is a $100 parking pass for the year. That's going to get you parking at the stadium, which is on our residential side of campus, and then also at Sorority Suites, which is across the street from our academic side of campus, and I'll kind of explain that in just a second. So that's that option. The second option is $200 for the year, and you can park anywhere that isn't designated for faculty and staff. So that means you can park up by your residential colleges. If you're at Regents and White, they actually have their own parking lot, so you can park there, and you can also park in front of our class buildings as well. So this entire time, we've kind of been talking about a residential side of campus, an academic side of campus. So what we mean by that is our campus is set up where we've got basically everything for our current campus residents on one side, and then the academic side is where you do all your classwork. So on the academic side right now, that's where we're at. Our Curris Center, which is our student center, is on the academic side, and then all of our classroom buildings, the majority of them that you will be taking, is on that side as well. Then you're gonna cross a bridge over a street that cuts directly through campus, and you'll be on the residential side. So all of our residential colleges are on that side with the exception of Regents and White. And then our stadium, football stadium, our basketball arena, the softball and the baseball fields, the wellness center, all of that is going to be on the residential side. We also have a super walkable campus, which is really, really nice. So at any given point, you can kind of get to your destination within 10 to 15 minutes, which is really nice. So you don't have to take a bus to class. With that being said, sometimes you're caught on the academic side of campus or the residential side after dark, and maybe you're not comfortable with walking by yourself. That's kind of where the safety part of our presentation comes in. So we've got Racer Patrol, which is some students that work directly with our Murray State police officers that function as an escort for you. So there have been many times where I was caught in the library after dark, up studying late for a test. And so all you have to do is call our Racer Patrol, and they can walk you back either to your car, to your residential college, wherever you need to go. Then we have our Murray State police officers. These are real police officers. They are so kind and friendly, awesome people that help patrol and make our campus safe. We have been voted one of the safest campuses in the U.S., and we are super proud of that. That is a priority for us at Murray State, so we want to make sure that you feel safe at all times. Speaking of that, so if you don't see necessarily a Murray State police officer or Racer Patrol around, but you need to report something that's going on, you can call 2222. And our Murray State police officers have a response time of about 2 minutes to get where you're at to be able to handle any situation that would come up. Then we've also got our emergency poles all over campus. So hit that button on there and Murray State police officers will be able to get there to you in a timely manner.
So we know that was a lot of information for you guys, but we obviously talk about things that we think are going to be important for you when it comes to making that college decision and things like that. So the last thing we want to say, we know questions are going to happen. I am the queen of questions, so I welcome them. And we just want to let you know our contact information is on the website. So if you go to murraystate.edu/recruitment, you can find all of our contact information as well as maybe a recruitment counselor for your specific area. On top of that, social media is also a huge thing right now for students, and we have noticed that. So we have started our own profile. So if that is a way that you would rather contact us, you can do that as well. Mine in particular is just Hannah_@Murray State. So you can follow me there and ask me any sorts of questions.
Yeah, and mine is Ivy's Insights. So it's at IBYS_insights, and you can follow me there. Particularly my Tennessee residents, I always post where I'm gonna be at, and I know Hannah does the same. So if you're looking for us to come to your school, be on the lookout on Insta stories for that. And then our recruitment office actually has their own recruitment Instagram as well. So follow us at MSU_recruitment, and we'll post all kinds of updates on there as well.
Yeah, and then last, you can obviously follow Murray State University on Instagram. They are gonna have everything that you need to know. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please, please, please ask us questions, give us some feedback, but we are so excited for your future, and we hope that you found this video helpful.
Bye guys.